strip it, and then you want to keep tension on it. Hey, this is the ePark Fishing Channel with a tutorial on how to go from a spinning rod to a fly rod and how to start fly fishing. So the first half of this video, we're going to go through the rod, the reel, the leader, and some basic flies. And in the second half, we're going to get you started with casting and landing fish. So you can start out with the cheaper rod, and this is actually a Fluger combo. That's the rod and the reel, and it was like $50. So this is a great starter, and then you can just figure out if you like fly fishing, and then you can go from there, because the sky's the limit with these things. They're $1,000 rods and they're $50 rods, so it really doesn't have to be expensive. So a tapered leader is basically like a whip. So it starts out a thicker line and then it gets thinner until the end, and that's where you're going to put your fly, and that's going to let your fly roll out and give you a nice presentation. You can also build your own leaders, but when you're first starting out, you just want to keep things simple and just buy a 3-pack of tapered leaders. Also check the link in the description of this video if you want to see the exact leaders that I'm using in the video. So when it comes to picking a fly, there are a whole bunch of different kinds, but I'm going to boil it down to just 3 main categories. There's dry flies, which are floating flies for the surface. That's a parachute Adams. And then you've got streamers like this woolly bugger, and these are really good for enticing a bite with some motion because they look kind of like a small fish. And then you've got wet flies or nymphs, which are sinking flies, and these are going to drop down and get into the strike zone if fish are holding deeper. So you just want to get a few nymphs, a few dry flies, and a few streamers to start. For dry flies, I would just get a few of these grasshoppers and a few of these parachute Adams to start. For streamers, I would get a couple of these woolly buggers, the smallest ones you can find. And when it comes to nymphs, I really like these tiny jig style flies. I've just had a lot of luck with these, and this was actually the first fly that I caught a fish on when I was using a fly rod. So the smaller the better, that way it won't interfere with your cast too much. So you can get a bunch of different kinds of indicators, but these screw-on type are really nice. And you can find these at a fly shop. And you just screw off the top and then put your line through and screw it back on. And then when you want to adjust your depth, you can move it up and down. Just be careful when you go in the fly shop, because there's all kinds of stuff there that you're going to want to buy. So you can spend a lot of money or you can keep it cheap. It's up to you. So you're also going to need some nippers, and these are for cutting the tag end of your line. And they're really good because you can get really precise with where you cut, which is good for tiny little flies, which you're going to use a lot. So you probably already have a pair, but you're going to need some hemostats for unhooking fish. And I just get the cheap kind these are only like $3 or $4. So another thing you're going to need is a fly box. And I've just got this one it was like $10. I think it still has the price tag on it, so I know that's my trusty box. So another thing real quick is these polarized sunglasses are good for seeing fish. And when you're getting started, they protect your eyes, because when you're whipping that fly back, you don't want to hook yourself in the eye. And then you're going to want to get some sort of carrying device for all your gear. That way if you're wading, you don't have to dig through anything, and it's all right here. Some people use a little satchel, but I just use a vest. And you can get used ones for like 20 bucks, or you can get a new one and they're like 50, 60 bucks. So you're also going to want a net, and this one right here is a really cheap net. It's probably like 20 bucks. So this is great for starting out, and it's rubber, so your fly isn't going to get caught in the fabric. It's just got a simple stretch cord. This is the one I like to use, and it's got this thin mesh at the bottom that's really nice for the fish, and your flies don't get caught in that as well. Plus it has this little clip on it, so you can clip that onto your vest or whatever you want, and then you've got it ready to go. So then there are all kinds of gadgets and gizmos you can get, but you really don't need them. That's the basics of what you need. All right, so now that we have all our supplies, it's time to rig this up. And I've got the pre-spooled line here, so I'm not gonna go over how to spool. So let's start out by attaching the reel. You want the line to come out of the top right here, and that's where it's going to go through the eyelets. Put it on the bottom first, and then screw this in. Screw it in until it's tight. And it's just like a spinning rod pretty much. So then you've got your line coming out here. And now I'm going to feed this through. So with the fly line, there are quite a few eyelets. So it's really easy for it to slide back through, and then you have to start over. So what you want to do is take the end of your fly line and loop it like that. And then put that loop through. And that way, if you let go of it, it's not going to fall all the way out usually. So you can just pull out more line if you need it, and just keep going through. So then you just get it right through the tip. So pull some line through to give yourself something to work with. And you'll notice how it's all curly cued like that. What you can do is you can stretch it out. Now I'm gonna just pull on it pretty hard, and it's taking that curly cue out of it. That's looking pretty good. So then if you don't have one already, you're gonna need a loop on the end. But most of these pre-spooled reels are gonna already have a perfection loop tied on the end, but I'll show you how to tie that knot. All right, so you're gonna start out with your fly line and make a loop with the line with your tag end going behind. And then you bring this out this way so that you have this right here. So then you're going to take the tag end and put it in front like that, and then put this loop through that one. So put that through, and then pull it tight, nice and tight. And then you've got that loop. And the nice thing about this loop is it's right in line with your fly line. So that's what you want. You want your leader to line up with your line. So now you're going to want to attach your leader, and you can see how it's all coiled up like this. And this can actually be hard to uncoil if you don't do it the right way. So what you want to do is you want to take your loop here on the end where it's thickest and bring it, you uncoil that about 3 times. So 1, 2, maybe one more time. So then you've got your loop and your coil, and then you're going to take your fingers inside right here like that, okay? And then you're going to just start pulling it out, and it should start coming out pretty easy. So you just keep pulling it, and that way you're not going to get tangled up. And once you get to the thin stuff, it should just start kind of coming off. So there you go, boom. Took about 10 seconds, right? So now we've got these 2 loops that we want to attach together. And to do that, you're going to take your fly line loop and put it through your tapered leader loop. Just squish that knot through. And once you're about here, you're going to take the rest of this leader and put it through the loop of the fly line, and then just pull that all the way through. And then pull those 2 loops together. So then just get that back over the knot again. Then you got these 2 loops coming together. Just pull those together. Nice and clean, and that should roll your fly out nicely. So then you'll notice that your leader is all curly cued like that. Just pull on it and stretch it a little bit. See how it's coming out? And just go all the way down. And as you go down, it's going to get thinner, so you don't want to pull way too hard or you might break it. You want to keep as much of this intact as possible. So yeah, just take your time, and you should have it nice and straightened out. So this leader was thin enough that I could just tie a fly straight onto this if I want to, but sometimes you're going to want to attach a tippet on there, so I'm going to go through how you do that as well. So a lot of the time for my tippet, I just use this 2-pound Maxima Ultra Green. Take out like a couple feet, 3 feet. I'm trying not to cut line with my teeth anymore, so I got my nippers. So then to attach the tippet, I'm just gonna go right to the end of my leader. So I'm gonna just tie a triple surgeon's knot right here, and I'll show you how to do that. So take both the lines and lay them over each other. Lay them over each other like that. And then make a loop with both the lines. Take both of those lines and bring them back behind while pinching, and then bring them through that loop. Make sure both of them get through there. And then you're just gonna do that 3 times. So that was 1, 2, 1 more, 3. So this is what you should have right here. So then you wet that down a little. Then you just pull that tight. So then you just trim those tag ends up, and that's what these nippers are really good for. So then with the leader and the tippet, I've got about 7 or 8 feet of clear line. You can go shorter if the fish aren't as wary, or you could tie straight to the leader. I like to do the tippet because that way you don't waste any of that leader. Because over time you can, if you keep tying to the leader, it's gonna eat away at it, and then you're gonna need a new one sooner. The first fly I would recommend using is this little lightning bug. So these are good because they don't have a lot of weight, but they do sink, and they're small enough that if you whip yourself with it, it's not gonna hurt too bad. So I'm just gonna use a fisherman's knot or a clinch knot, just like you're probably used to doing with the spinning rod. So put it through the eye, give it a couple inches, got it going through. I just hold it with these 2 fingers and then spin that around 1, 2, just go 6 times. And then bring that back through here, through that loop. And then if you want a little extra security, you can bring this tag end through here, and that's called the improved clinch knot, and then wet it down. And then just pull that tight, just push it on there, and to tighten it a little more on the tag end, pull on it. So trim it off and leave just a tiny bit of that tag end there, just so it doesn't slip. And that's pretty much what it looks like. And that's a great trout fly right there. You might not be able to land a bass with that. So now I'm gonna put an indicator up about 2 feet here. And this is called a thingamabobber. And you can get these at Sportsman's Warehouse. And you don't have to go to a fly shop. So that's why I'm gonna show you this one. But if you want one of those screw-on ones, they're a lot easier. You just have to go to a fly shop. All right, so I got the fly, and then about 2 feet up here, you just make a loop on your tippet. So you put it through the eye, and then you bring that loop all the way around the whole thing, including the jam stop right there. And then you pull that on, and then you put the jam stop in. And I've got an indicator fixed on there. So you don't always need an indicator, and especially when you're starting, you can just throw a fly on there. But I'm gonna keep it like this, and I'm gonna go show you guys how to get started casting. So let's move on to the casting part of the video. So when you first get out to practice, you're gonna want a nice open area where you have plenty of room on both sides, and you can get things dialed in there. And then when you get to the water, you won't have to worry about it because you already kind of have an idea of how to do it. So you get that fly line through the tip, and then start out with a couple feet hanging out there. So now we're going to get used to the rhythm of casting, and there's a 4-count rhythm. So we're going to go through that, and we're also going to talk about where your hands are going to go. So you're going to have your right hand right on the cork right there, and your left hand is going to be on the line most of the time. And you're gonna be pulling and letting go of the line. And that's how you're gonna create tension. The kind of tension that you would create when you're casting a spinning rod and you're loading it up right before you let your finger go is kind of the same idea with this, except you don't have a bail. So opening up your bail is gonna be the same as letting go of the line and letting it fly out. So the first beat of the rhythm is your backstroke. You're gonna hold on to the line with your left hand, and you're gonna keep tension on this line a little bit and bring it back to a 10 o'clock position. And you're gonna stop. And that's where you wanna do your second beat, which is to pause. You're gonna pause at that 10 o'clock position and wait till the fly rolls behind you. And then you're gonna go with your forward motion. And you're gonna keep tension on this line still, and you're gonna be going forward back to that 10 o'clock. So you're gonna be going back, pause, forward, pause, back, pause, forward, pause, back, pause, forward, pause, back, pause, forward, pause. So you have to make sure you're stopping. So stop, 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 forward stop, back stop, forward stop, back stop, forward stop, back stop. So when you're coming back and you stop, that's gonna let that fly roll out behind you nice. And then when you go forward and you stop, when you stop, that's gonna let your line shoot out more. So the pausing is really like the most important thing. So now if you want to cast a little farther, you're gonna take some line out here. And this is where it can get more tricky. So you don't want to start with this. You want to start by just doing that back stop, forward stop, back stop, forward stop. So I'm gonna get like 20 feet of line out here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. Back stop, forward stop, back stop, forward stop, back stop, forward stop. This time when I'm coming back and forward, I'm letting go, I'm shooting that line out more. So the more line you have out, the longer you're gonna pause on the backstroke before you shoot your line out. So if you're just starting out and you haven't cast out very far yet, you just have a little line. So you're not gonna pause very long. You're just gonna come back and shoot the line out. Once you get a little better, you can do the double haul, which I'm still not very good at, but that's where you pull on your line when you're coming back, and then you pull on it a little going forward to get that little extra boost of power right there. So once you've got the basic casting down and you can get your fly to where fish are, what happens when you get a bite? Well, you need to set the hook, right? So how to do that is you want to take all that slack out of the line. And usually what I do is I do what's called a strip set. And that's where you just pull on your line and strip it back until there isn't any tension, and then that'll set the hook on the fish. You can also lift your rod tip up a little bit, but you don't want to go too crazy because you'll pull your fly away from the fish. All right, so now I'm gonna go down to the water here and we're gonna see if I can get a bite. So I've got these are just some cheap insulated waders. They were like 70 bucks at Sportsman's Warehouse. And then I just got some cheap shoes from Walmart, and you just get a size larger, or maybe a size and a half larger than what you wear, so you can fit the stocking foot of your waders in it. You can also get the waders that have the boots attached already, but they're kind of clunky, and those boots are really heavy. So I like to just go this way. So instead of doing an indicator or anything fancy like that, I'm just gonna go with a simple dry fly, because I saw some fish surfacing over here and it's a lot easier to cast. So when you're first starting, I would just put on a dry fly, and I'll show you which one I'm gonna use here. So I'm just gonna use this little elk hair caddis right here. So I'm gonna try that first. All right, we're going in. It gets deep a little faster than I thought here. Oh yeah, it drops down like a foot from here to here. Drops like a foot. So I'm gonna start by pulling out some line. Pull out a few feet. So just pull a little out till you have something to work with. And then I'm just gonna roll cast it. So I'm gonna put the line behind me and just flick it out there, just to start out. And you never know, I could get a bite off that, so I'll let it drift for a second. So I saw some fish surfacing right on the other side. So I'm gonna try to get it over there. So now I've got my fly behind me. I'm just gonna false cast, get my line ready, and let it shoot out there. It wasn't a perfect cast, but probably in a good spot. That was a little better. So if it sinks a little, that's okay. I like to just At that point, I'll just give it a little action under the surface. And sometimes they'll hit it like that. If you see the end of your fly line twitch, then that's a bite. So here's where I backcast into the tripod and my fly snapped off. So I had to retie, and then I found those flies in the tripod later. Yeah, you lost your setup. All right, so I'm gonna try out this ant fly. It's a pretty nice looking fly. Looks like it goes well with the natural scenery out here. So now I'm getting it almost on the other side here. I'm just really accelerating. So I'm really accelerating back and forward and stopping. And there we go, we're almost on the other side. It's so close, come on. There we go, yeah! So that's what you do. You strip it, and then you want to keep tension on it. So you want to just keep on pulling on it till you bring it in close enough. And then when it's close enough, you got your net right here. So there we go. So I'm going to unclip my net for a second. And then you're going to take your rod. I just tuck it right in this pocket of my waders here. I just tuck the top in, boom, and then it's sticking up high. And that is a rainbow trout. So this guy likes to bite the net. Look at that. He's just biting the net. Don't bite the net. What, does that taste good? There he goes. Just hanging out right next to my foot. Just chilling there. Let's see if there we go. As soon as I moved my foot, he spooked, took off. So there you go. So real quick, I just want to give a little disclaimer for this video, because my form isn't perfect and I'm not a master at fly fishing yet. I'm trying to learn and trying to get better. So you can tear me apart in the comments if you want. I know my form isn't perfect, but as you can see, it's good enough to catch a fish, and that's all that matters. So if this video helped inspire you to go fly fishing, or it helped you learn, or you just found it entertaining, make sure to click subscribe, because I'm gonna come out with some more videos about fly fishing and some different techniques. So if you don't want to miss it, click subscribe.